Hello, vinyl community and anyone else watching this. I'm back to make two videos in one. I promised SMF Captain Howdy that I would make a response to a thread that got started by the Beatles submarine, and Joe, Mean Mr. Mayo, picked up like over a year ago. And Sean just got around to making a video, so I thought I'd make one too. And around the same time, Sergeant Pepper 13 also did a video or a thread on Paul. So the first one is 20 Beatle questions. That's Beatles, and the second one is 4 Paul questions. And I'm gonna nail these in one video. But before I do that, I mentioned to a couple of you that I was down. And what had happened is I hurt my leg at work. I think I twisted my knee or something. And I was in a lot of pain for a couple of days, including yesterday. And I went to work and everything. And I hobbled around like an idiot in like excruciating pain. I did get a Percocet yesterday, which helped a lot till it wore off. And then, here's why I want to tell you guys this, in case anybody finds themselves in knee pain or anything like that. And it was leg pain, actually. It transferred all the way down. My leg swelled a little bit. And anyway, I bought some Aleve on my way home last night, had some dinner, took an Aleve before dinner, sat on my couch, well, propped my legs up on my couch for about 3 hours. Then I got up, and it didn't hurt. And not only did it hurt, I started to get some mobility back. I only had probably an 8% mobility in my knee joint, something like that. And the amazing thing is, not only that, but this morning I woke up and it's practically better. After 2 days of nothing, I took 2 more Aleve to make sure this morning. But that was this morning, and it's after midnight now. So Aleve is amazing stuff. I'm back on my feet and almost back to normal by taking a couple of pills, and that's amazing. So I was going to hold the bottle up, but I'm not going to. But Aleve is awesome stuff. Okay, 20 questions. I got them right here about the Beatles for Joe and for John and for anybody else that wants to. It's in the yellow. Like the girls at Beatles Submarine. Here we go. First question. Favorite Beatle? I have some visuals here. Paul. It just always has been. His was the first career I followed. And funny story though. I was a Beatle fan before I knew Paul solo. And I didn't really catch on to Paul solo till the Band on the Run stuff. And it was New Year's Eve, 1974, and Band on the Run, of course, in Jet. This was Jet. We were in the top 40, and they do a top 40 countdown every year. And they said 1965, and they played Yesterday. And they 1975, and they played Jet. And that was when I put together that Paul McCartney was in the Beatles. I never got that before. So there you go. Paul is my favorite Beatle. Number 2, favorite era. I would say early middle years, late rock and roll. Around this time, 65, the Help period, going into Rubber Soul, and even before that when they were still doing some rock and roll as well as acoustic stuff, and before they got really experimental. So I'd say around this time right here. How did I get into the Beatles? They were just always there. They were on the radio. I really only had AM radio when I was a kid. And every weekend was an oldies weekend. But even beyond that, the Beatles were the only band that got played on the radio constantly. So I just always heard them and loved them. And as I think me and Mr. Mayo said, the Beatle cartoons didn't hurt either. I knew about the Beatle cartoons and watched those. And so between the Beatle cartoons and just AM radio, I fell in love with the Beatles. Favorite Beatles song? Well, that has changed over the years. When I was a kid, it was Yesterday. Then it moved to Nowhere Man. Then somewhere in there was Things We Said Today. Then came Here Comes the Sun, which was almost my latest. And for the past couple of years, a lot of people are going to go, really? But a song from this album, George's first ever song, Don't Bother Me. I couldn't even think of the name. Don't Bother Me has become my favorite Beatles song, believe it or not. It's just simple, and I like its attitude. I love the reverb on the guitar is great. It's my favorite. It's rock and roll. It's everything the Beatles should be, in my opinion. So Don't Bother Me from, well, Meet the Beatles with the Beatles, doesn't matter. Question 5, favorite Beatle album. I think I've said this before, Rubber Soul. And I am holding the American version of Rubber Soul, by the way. I like it over the British. To me, it's a more cohesive album, and I know that that's sort of a bastard thing to say, but it just is. It flows. I really dislike the American Revolver, on the other hand, where they just took 2 songs off. But here, it's just a more acoustic, quieter album. And favorite Beatle album. What other bands do you like is question 6. I always said I like the Beatles and everybody that tried to sound like them. So I like tons of other bands. This is probably my second favorite, and I'll name some others, but Big Star. Here's their first album. This is actually an orange vinyl version, just put out recently by Newberry Comics. But besides Big Star, Badfinger, the Raspberries, the Who, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, the Yardbirds, Oasis, the Fountains of Wayne, the Lemonheads, Matthew Sweet, Teenage Fan Club, Nick Lowe, Dave Edmunds, the whole Rockpile thing. The list goes on and on and on. I like a lot of bands. Next, least favorite Beatle album is number 7, and I think most, well, Captain Howdy didn't. Joe picked this one. I didn't think, Captain Howdy picked, I can't think now, the Beatles at the Star Club, which I don't consider an official album. In fact, they even sued to try to get it from coming out. But this is an official album, and it's worthless. Least favorite Beatles song. You know, fans have always voted Mr. Moonlight their worst song, but I've never agreed with that. I could go with an easy answer and say Revolution number 9, but that's not really a song to me. So I picked Flying from the Magical Mystery Tour album as my least favorite Beatles song. It's not an instrumental, it's not a vocal, and it doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't do anything, and I don't know. Still don't hate it, just probably my least favorite. 9. Favorite Beatle wife. This lady right here. Linda has always been my favorite wife. Watch me Mr. Mayo's video of this, by the way. Watch the original, and it says exactly what I say. She stood by him through thick and thin. They both did. They clearly loved each other, and yeah, Linda. Okay. 10. What is my favorite Beatle movie? Their first one, A Hard Day's Night. This is the deluxe Blu-ray Criterion put out. It's really nice. I highly recommend it. But yeah, Hard Day's Night, first movie, definitely. Help's okay, but that's a classic. I took film in college, and we would have never studied Help, but we could have studied A Hard Day's Night. It's just a very excellently made film. Favorite Beatle outfit. I don't have a picture to show, but around 66 or 67, Paul McCartney had this red jacket that I'm in love with. And if you watch me, Mr. Mayo's videos, I used to have this poster too. He's got a poster behind him that shows all 4 Beatles, and you can kind of see Paul's red jacket in that video. That is my favorite Beatle outfit. Well, any of his videos, any of his new ones since he moved, you can see that there. How have the Beatles inspired me? Just to love music. I do a podcast every week. I wouldn't do it without them. They just made me love music, and just because they're so good, that's how they've inspired me. They were good, and as Elton John said at the Prince's Trust concert when he introduced George Harrison and Ringo Starr, he said, quote unquote, "By George, without them, there wouldn't be us." And how true that would be. We wouldn't have any of the stuff we listen to today without the Beatles. I don't know what we'd have. Maybe not today, but 10 years ago and before, we wouldn't have any of it. Any of the classic rock that people of a certain age love, we wouldn't have without the Beatles. That's what I love them. Favorite Beatle instrument, I think a bunch of you that know my channel know. It would be this right here. This is an imitation, but yeah, Paul Hoffner. I mean, I bought one, so, you know, right here. Favorite Beatle instrument. George had some cool guitars too, but favorite Beatle instrument. So did John. Favorite solo career. This guy, Paul. Just because it's still going. There's so much there. It's diverse. Yeah, he's got some stuff that isn't amazing, but so does George, whose career was a lot shorter. So does John, and so does Ringo. So, you know, Paul. Always been Paul. Just, that's the way it is. Taxman or Eggman? Sure you mean Taxman around the Walrus, Taxman. Nothing wrong with that in the Walrus, but always prefer Taxman. Anything I don't like about the Beatles? I don't like that one died of cancer and somebody shot the other one. That's two things I don't like about the Beatles. Other than that, there's not much. I don't even hate that they split up. I don't know where it would have gone. Nobody knows. But I think the time was right. So that's it. That's it. The two of them are no longer with us. That's what I don't like about the Beatles. Why do I like the Beatles? I think I've already answered that one. They're amazing. They were the best songwriters of their time and maybe any time since. They just had something, a magic, a charisma. Four people that you put together and magic happened, and that's a very rare thing, and that's why I love them. They're amazing. That's why I love them. They were almost perfect. Do I own any Beatle merchandise? Not much. Posters, you can see a poster behind me. There's one over there. There's one behind me there. I've showed my room tour. Posters. Books. Me and Mr. Mayo recommended this. This is really cool. The complete Beatles BBC recordings. There's all kinds of interesting. It's a book and lots of memorabilia and all that kind of stuff in there. I own that. But I'm not a memorabilia guy. I like real stuff. If I have all my posters except the one up here, my mom got me for Christmas last year, are all like real things. Promo posters, things like that. I don't go in for buying collectibles. I don't think they are collectible. I think they just want you to think they are. So that's about it. Posters and some I have a few magazines too, but that's about it. And a Beatle bass. Who's your favorite Beatle child? Well, I don't really like this question, you know. I think, I'll be honest here, I think Julian can be a bit of a dick once in a while. Sean's alright, don't love his solo career though. I think Danny could be fabulous if he wanted to do something with his solo career, but he doesn't really seem to. I could go another way and say, you know, Stella's gorgeous. She could be my favorite. You know, nobody talks about the girls. Who am I missing here? Zach. Zach Starkey may be my favorite Beatle child. I think he the most talented musically anyway. He's a fantastic drummer, and he certainly made a name for himself. So I'm going with Zach, but I don't know about that question. And what would you say to the Beatles? I don't like this question either. Nobody else does, you know. I was going to be funny and say, if I met Paul, I'd say, get off the acoustic live and play more bass and guitar, electric. But I wouldn't really say that to him at all. I'd just say what everybody else would say, pretty much, just thank you. Thank you for all you've done, for sacrificing your life for us. Thank you. That's what else can you say? You know, you can't play 20 questions with the Beatles. So, okay. Well, that, I hope that satisfies everybody's answers for that. Now, Sgt. Pepper 13, top 5 or 4. I hope I didn't miss a question. I hope there was only 4 here. Beatle question or Paul questions, and number 1 was top 5 Paul LPs. Well, that can vary. Again, quantifying anything like this is hard. It's impossible. But I did it, and I did it for today. Okay, so number 1 for me is Back to the Egg, believe it or not, because I'm a rock and roll guy, and it's exactly what the title implies. It's Back to the Egg. Paul McCartney got back to his roots and played some rock and roll. And to me, this is very much like a Beatle album. It got kind of overlooked at the time. His singles didn't go to number 1, at least in the U.S., but it's got Getting Closer and Arrow Through Me and Old Siam, Sir, and the Rockestra theme, which I love. To You, Paul's doing New Wave, and some really quiet ones too. After the Ball, A Million Miles, and Winter Rose, Love Awake. Love Awake is amazing. So yeah, Back to the Egg is number 1. Well, I haven't been telling you anything. This is an import. I think it's a German import, but it might be British. I'd have to open it and look. Number 2, I'm just going to show you a piece of white here. Ram, but specifically the mono version. This is the Record Store, not Record Store Day. It wasn't Record Store Day, was it? Just a limited edition mono that came out. I like this in mono a lot. Not much to show you here, but Paul's Ram is 2nd. 3rd, Cliche, but Band on the Run. It's just a good album. I mean, I've known it. It's the first album I've known fully by Paul when I was a kid, and just fantastic. This is a 1999 British double reissue, which is very different from the reissue that came out a few years ago. I actually like the sound quality on this one better too, to be honest. This is a British copy, obviously, of a British album. It's got some really cool, the outtakes are very different than on the other one, the bonus tracks and things. This is another British copy. Number 4, McCartney's first album, McCartney. It's not all great, but I like the attitude. I like that he's getting out there and trying, and it's a really good album. Plus, Maybe I'm Amazed, one of the best Paul songs ever, is on there. And number 5 was close for me, but I picked Tug of War. This is my half-inch too big. It's cut this way too big. It's like a half an inch too big. Sticks out on the shelf. The new reissue of this, which I haven't even opened and played yet. So I haven't heard any of the demos or anything on this yet, but I will get to it soon. So this would be number 5 for me. It's Paul back to form for me after, actually not back to form, but by saying, after John died, trying to reinvigorate himself, and I think he did a really good job on it. Tug of War, by the way. Okay, those are my top 5 McCartney albums. First McCartney LP I bought. Well, I'm old. So, I got it narrowed down to 2. And I can tell you that I bought it at a Hills department store. I bought both of these. I'm going to show you 2. I bought both of them at Hills department store, but I can't remember which I bought first. It was either, and this isn't the copy, but it was either Red Rose Speedway, and this is a Columbia reissue I just got. I've been looking for it on Columbia, and I'm not finding them as easy as I thought I would, but here's a Columbia reissue of Red Bull Speedway. The one I bought I have somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where it is right now. I still have some records pulled for podcasts, so it might be there. Might be this, Wings Over America. It's one of these two albums. The first one would have been $4.58, and this one would have been $9.12, because that was Hill's pricing at the time, and I still remember that. No, 16 cents, 9.16. Only charged you as a double, not a triple. So one of those two is the first McCartney album I bought. Favorite solo song? Well, I'm going to narrow this down to two as well. Sorry, but it's probably this. Maybe I'm Amazed. Not the live version, but the studio version. But I wanted to show something. So it's probably Maybe I'm Amazed. This is a British copy of the 45, I believe. Might be. No, actually it's French. Or this is French also. Or Sally G. One of those two. Depends on what day you ask me. One of these two is my favorite McCartney song, solo. And last question. Paul, item you like the best? Well, again, I don't collect stuff. And records, I'm not one of these people that goes out and spends a fortune on one album. I just don't do it. There's too much music out there, and I want to own more. I'd rather own more good music than one thing that's just great to look at. So, anyway, I went with two again, and it's probably this, but this is a promo from the Tug of War LP. It's got 4 songs on it. Why do I drop everything when I get on here? It's on white vinyl. I'm not going to show it. I think I've showed it in another video. But it is on white vinyl. Black and white cover. Cool cover. I looked for this for years. And finally found one. And it's either this or my ex-wife found this in a record store. And I've always liked it just because I can't believe I missed it. And she didn't. It's a 12-inch single of Temporary Secretary. It's an original Parlophone from the UK. And it's the only one of these I've ever seen in person. So, one of those two things. Well, this is probably a really long video. Thank you for watching, and thank you to me, Mr. Mayo, and to SMF Captain Howdy, and to the Beatles Submarine, and to Sgt. Pepper's 13 for inspiring me to do this. And thank everybody out there for watching, and check out my podcast, snapcracklepop.podomatic.com. Hope you're all well, and all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to try to make a couple more videos really soon, maybe even now. Don't know when I'll get them uploaded, but be looking for those. They're both requested videos again, so one more a few people have requested, and one would be following Emmett Riggs' thread. So check those out. Thanks for watching again, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.